Productions is proud to present your new favorite podcast, Hits Home Jackson, with your host, John Wilson.
Tuning in to the debut podcast of Hits Home Jackson with John Wilson. I've been asked the last couple weeks when we were putting this together as to what's the reason for the podcast. And putting this together with my co-host here, who I'd like to introduce, Kevin.
I'll pull myself up. Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hello, Kevin. And Kevin is not only going to be a great co-host, he also does all the technical end of this.
Hello.
There's Kevin. There's Kevin. And Kevin's job is, I told him, first of all, put one of those pretty filters on the camera so I can look.
I found the pretty. I bought a whole new camera just in case.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, I've been asked, what's the reason for this podcast, and it's simply, it's what I believe is, unfortunately, the general public can no longer rely on local news sources to provide us with objective, unbiased, impartial news stories regarding the city of Jackson and Jackson County governments. And also, unfortunately, the general public cannot get an objective, impartial, unbiased interviews with our local elected officials when they go on with one of our local media sources. And in all due respect to the local media sources, and I'll name them, we have our long-standing for many, many, many years, and thankfully we have them, WKHM Radio.
Listen to them every morning in my grandma's house.
Oh, yes, I still listen every morning. And we're thankful we have them. And then also we have a local TV station, JTV. And with the radio station, with WKHM, you have a morning news hour or top of the hour news show. And they do provide the listeners with Jackson news.
Right.
And that's a good thing. But not always. Not always. Sometimes they...
and how reliable is it?
Right.
Is usually my question.
Right. And that's, for the most part, why I am here today with you, Kevin.
Hell yeah.
And also with, and again, no disrespect to WKHM, the radio host, or JTV's morning show, or the Bart Hawley show, the morning show with Andy and Bart, and then the afternoon show with called the Bart Hawley Show. And when they do have on a local government official, of course you can't blame them for having a nice interview.
Right.
Because
they're a business.
They're a business, and they want them to return back. But they could be challenged a little bit more. Whether it's Mayor Mahoney in his weekly interview with Mark Daly on WKHM, or Steve Shotwell, the Jackson County Commission chairman, who's on every other week on WKHM in the morning with host Mark Daly. And again, we at times can have some good informative interviews with either Shotwell or Mahoney, but I would just always hope that the host, Mr. Daly, Mark Daly, could be a little more challenging in questioning these elected officials, whether it be Mayor Mahoney or County Commission Chairman Steve Shotwell. And the same goes with the Bart Hawley Show. Same thing. Bart and Mark both want the mayor and the county commission chair to return back for interviews. And they probably would not return if they were challenged to a certain point. So that's what we're going to discuss going forward, are local issues pertaining to city government and county government. Now, it's not that I'm going to hammer them, okay, with
right.
negativity. No. we will throw a dose of realism in there with each subject matter, with each issue. But the fact that city government or county government isn't challenged in any way, shape, or form during interviews with again the radio or with the TV, local TV, will bring up the subjects, the issues, respectfully,
Right.
and have a respectful, decent conversation. And it's not that I'm going to always just hammer them and be negative. No, I will accentuate the positive.
Yeah.
When it's due, but we will also discuss sometimes when it's not always positive, and not everything is.
Yeah, not everything hunky dory.
Not everything is
Not
hunky-dory,
always.
or not everything is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem with mainstream media in general. I think they're all afraid, and in a weird way, same idea as local is, to have them back. They almost let the guest, the politician, dictate the conversation, and sometimes that's not a good thing to do. Sometimes you need to have that outside perspective and ask those hard questions.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Barbara Walters made a living off of it.
Sure.
So
Sure. And again, I enjoy and I appreciate the fact that I, as a listener or a viewer with the local radio or TV station, can have the opportunity to listen to our local elected officials when they're on with them. But again, sometimes you just have to cringe and say, ask them where the money's going to come from for this new spending initiative.
it's a question everyone has on their mind, and it's whether or not our media is going to ask it. And a lot of times it's no.
Right. And I've made the point before, and mostly on social media, that it's almost as though they're sponsored, these our local news stations sponsored by the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, because again, everything accentuates the positive for the most part, and they leave out some of the news that, and some of the questions and some of the discussions that really, really need to be had. Unless you tune into a city council meeting, which we're all fortunate to be able to do on local cable TV.
The only thing good that came out of COVID.
Right. And so we can sit, watch, and listen to a city council meeting or a county commission meeting, and that's a very, very good thing. And that keeps the general public informed as to the issues regarding that certain meeting. Okay. Now, maybe in my next life I won't focus in so much on
I hope not.
agendas or budgets, but that's just what I do.
Well, and that's actually something I was going to bring up with that, is that who's going to sit through a boring county commission meeting or a boring city hall meeting for these hot topics? In the past, you rely on the news for that stuff. And if the news doesn't cover it, you don't know about it.
You do not know about it. You do not even find out about it until maybe down the road.
Once it becomes a problem.
And thankfully now we have social media. And whether it be Facebook, whether it be a podcast, whatever it may be, and you can, for the most part, filter out the what you may think isn't so factual.
Yeah. And you absolutely should. You should ask questions constantly.
Right. But thankfully, we do have the Facebook. We do have social media, so the general public can interact and throw out their opinions.
Absolutely.
Right or wrong, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, opinions don't have to be right or wrong. They're opinions.
They are opinions. And so I'm thankful for the social media end of this. Otherwise, we would not be sitting here today.
Right.
Instead, we would be relying on local media sources, which always, again, does not give us the full story.
Yep. It's all about ratings.
It's all about ratings. And I also want to touch on our other third media source, and that being the Jackson System Patriot M Live. Now, in the past few months, it seems, they've been covering more city council meetings, more county commission meetings. maybe it's all started because, well, there's some pretty hot issues.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, if you want to go back to maybe with the county, the jail millage issues, okay, so next thing you know, now we have MLive reporting on the meetings itself, and that's a very, very good thing. But it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare. But I am thankful, though, that they are at least, once again, attending the meetings and reporting on the issues that are being discussed at those meetings. So going forward with our podcast here, Kevin.
Yes, sir. So I was responding to the chat here. We got a couple of viewers. Apple Eater with Rome, and she's just saying what's going on. But yeah. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Nice. Well, and again, this being the debut podcast, and going forward, I'll have guests. I'll have a guest, okay? And this is all, going to just mostly primarily focus on city government issues and county government issues. And with just those two government entities, we will have lots to talk about. Just in the last few weeks, thinking of whether it be city issues such as the downtown parking, or with the county.
The parking's been big.
The parking's been big, and it's going to remain big.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to remain big. So, you know, we have the parking issue downtown right now that's on the top of everyone's mind for the most part. And with the county, Kevin, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but we had that bad storm a week ago.
Yeah, I saw a tornado literally jump over the highway on me on 127 on my way home.
Sure.
Just north of Mason, but
right.
Yeah,
right.
no, I remember that storm.
And there's and this happened a week ago, last Sunday.
Yeah, it was a Sunday. Yep.
It was a Sunday, and early evening, and of course everyone knew that there was going to be a bad storm.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knew.
And the sky was scary.
Oh, sure it was. Yeah. And so those of us knowing that we had a storm approaching, and it's amazing now they can give us, a time when, for the most part, the warning and go to shelter in place.
Yep.
If you have a basement, go to a basement, of course. Jump in your bathtub. I'm not sure where else you can jump into if you don't have a basement.
Find somewhere.
But going back to why I'm discussing this now, and I'm just going back to just, issues just in the last week or 2 weeks. And again, with the county, did you know that not all the emergency sirens sounded?
Oh, I don't doubt it. I didn't hear a single siren. The only reason, I saw the sky. I've lived in Michigan long enough, but my phone was going off.
Right.
That was the only thing. I didn't hear anything else.
And not everyone has that phone app.
Yeah. Well, and I usually turn mine off. I had just got a new phone, so I didn't turn mine off yet.
But the question is, why did not these emergency sirens sound?
Are they not working, or did someone drop the ball?
Come to find out, they're not working. They're not working. And we have one in the city, in the Queens area, that did not sound until after the storm was pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, it happens fast, but...
Well, yes, but you sound the alarm when... Well, we have experts to know when to sound the alarm.
Yeah.
And we rely on them to sound that alarm in case we need to shelter in place. Well... And I'm just thinking of the Queen's siren that did not sound, that did not go off.
That's
the
crazy.
Emergency siren did not go off. And I have neighbors that were wondering, why didn't the siren sound off? Next thing you know, we have close to 120 mile per hour winds. I think
it was nuts.
It was.
The rain was crazy.
And the rain was coming down sideways. And most everyone knew, of course, to shelter in place wherever they could shelter. But the fact remains, those emergency sirens did not sound. Now, I'm not sure as to why they did not sound other than a malfunction. But this is a county issue.
But don't we test it every Saturday at noon?
We test them every first Saturday.
First Saturday.
First Saturday of every month at noon.
Yep.
and they did test them. Now, I didn't pay much attention to that first Saturday at noon. At noon. Maybe I wasn't at home. I'm not sure. But I can't say whether that siren in my neighborhood, and I live in the Queens, Cascades area, whether that emergency siren sounded for their test on that specific Saturday or not. But that Saturday was just the day before the storm.
Oh, yeah. It would have been. I didn't think about that. Now, I don't know if you know this. Is that a manual trigger? Or is that from the National Weather Service? Or
that is set by our Okay, now I don't know getting into the weeds of it.
Right.
Who actually controls the emergency siren test each Saturday, the first Saturday of each month. It is county related, though.
Yeah.
It's county related. Now, whether it comes from the airport, wherever it may come from, I'm not sure. But all the sirens go off on the first Saturday of each month at noon for the test. Now, they're saying 5 sirens malfunctioned for this last storm. Now, I'm not sure if those 5 sirens malfunctioned on the Saturday test or not. But if they did malfunction on that Saturday test,
why wasn't it immediately attended to?
Right. Somebody dropped the ball, and somebody needs to be held accountable for this. This is a very serious issue. What I'm getting at here is this is an issue that, for the most part, where does the buck stop?
Right.
Okay, and the buck should stop on this issue, on this emergency siren malfunction, with our county administrator.
Right. That makes sense.
Then down to the chairman of the county commission. So where I'm going with this, okay, is County Commission Chairman Steve Shotwell was just on the WKHM radio for his biweekly interview.
Okay.
Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I think it may have been Tuesday or Wednesday morning of this week. The host did not mention anything about this emergency siren malfunction. Nothing. So what instead did they talk about? All the great things that are happening.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's all about the positivity.
Our parks, the airport, for the most part. That was it. And some street construction, road construction that the county
There's a lot of it going on.
It.
Needs to be done.
Right, it needs to be done. But why wasn't that issue of the emergency siren brought up?
That seems like a much larger issue than it was.
That should have been number one.
And I don't want to interrupt, but real quick, I'm just going to let you know that I pulled the chat up so you can also read the chat over here, and so everybody else can. We just got a couple people in the chat room, which I'm jealous of. It took me a year and a half to get people in my chat room.
Okay.
The only thing is you got sirens are activated from the county's emergency dispatch center from looks like Jose de los Santos.
Jose de los Santos. Thank you, Jose. Yes, Jose will keep me straight.
Oh yeah. I rely on the chat a lot for that.
Sure. Thanks, Jose, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and so just going back, why I'm here. Okay, it's you expect the radio host and the TV host to accentuate the positive. Okay, but yet when County Chairman Shotwell was on with Mark Daly on WKHM just the other morning, that topic should have been first and foremost as to why did they malfunction, why did they not go off, and what is being done to resolve this issue, and who's going to be held accountable for it.
Hey man, they're lucky no one died.
Absolutely.
I mean, that could have been bad. I mean, this is the first I've heheard of it right now. So I'm just as surprised. And like I said, I was 100 feet away from a tornado that night.
Here's a story. About 5 years ago, we had that Labor Day weekend tornado, F1 tornado, touchdown in the city of Jackson.
I remember that, vaguely.
And outside in the townships also, an F1 tornado touchdown. Labor Day weekend. I remember it so well because it was the Michigan and Notre Dame were playing football.
Yeah, okay.
That night. They had a night game. And I believe the storm.
That was when Michigan just installed their lights, I think. U of M.
That I'm not sure of.
I'm right in that time frame.
Okay.
It was like one of because they stopped playing Notre Dame for a minute.
Okay, so it was Labor Day, Saturday of Labor Day weekend,
Yes.
which is the first Saturday of the month.
Uh-huh.
They had the sirens tested, 12 noon.
Yep.
I can't say if the sirens went off anywhere other than the Queens area, but the Queens area siren went off loud and clear
Right.
for the test. We had an F1 tornado touchdown early that evening. 5-6 hours later, guess what?
What?
The siren did not sound. The emergency siren did not sound. And I brought this up years back. I went in front of the county commission and simply asked why. Why did it not go off?
Right.
And never did get a clear answer other than it wasn't reported to whomever it was supposed to be reported to. So
Yeah.
that's why it was
someone
not
dropped the
sound.
ball in the chain of command.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were just tested just a few hours prior to that
That's so sad.
touchdown touching down.
That's insane.
That was a massive storm, and it toppled trees, huge trees throughout the Queens Cascades neighborhood and throughout the rest of the city. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The siren did not sound.
Now, I have heard of other states like Kansas and stuff, Tornado Alley, where tornadoes have touched down and there's no time. But the fact that they said, oh, well, it wasn't reported to the right person means that they had plenty of time to potentially sound the alarm and didn't.
Right.
That's insane.
Like you said, this is Tornado Alley, Kansas or Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Down there in the prairies. My goodness, that's Tornado Alley. So hopefully this, with this issue with the emergency sirens not sounding off due to malfunctions, that'll be, I'm sure, is being resolved.
I hope so.
But again, someone needs to be held accountable for that.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we're discussing it. Why wasn't it discussed 2 mornings ago when County
Because it doesn't get ratings.
Chairman Shotwell was on the radio during a live interview?
Someone's going for re-election.
Well, and Shotwell should have probably brought it up himself.
Yeah, I agree.
Should have brought it up himself rather than waiting for the host. Maybe Mark Daly wasn't aware of the siren issue.
And he wouldn't have been. The accountability on, Shotwell, that's his job to address that situation.
It was addressed by Fox 47 News the day after.
Right.
The day after it was addressed by Fox 47 News. Darius Aldrich did a report on it. But we didn't see anything on M Live with it. And again, it wasn't reported until this morning.
Really?
On WKHM
Oh,
News
wow.
that there were 5 malfunction sirens that did not sound.
Yeah, because I keep pretty up to date on local news, and like I said, this is the first time I've heard of it. So we're breaking news. Darius got us, but Darius.
Darius does very, very.
I'll allow it.
Yes. So again, that's one reason I'm here is because I may not always be 100% correct. All the
Yeah, we're human.
but I am most of the time.
Yeah.
And I pay attention.
Yeah.
And again, I read the budgets. I read agendas.
Yep.
And so I stay abreast as to what is going on in whether it's the city or the county. And I respect each and every one of our elected officials, but sometimes they just make boneheaded decisions.
Well, they need to be held accountable, and I think that for a long time they weren't, and still in a lot of ways aren't being held accountable. And I mean, someone needs to. Someone needs to hold them accountable. Otherwise, what are they doing?
Sure.
Right. If we're just gonna live in a corrupt society of no accountability for politicians. No, I'm not cool with that.
And also, Kevin, many of our elected officials, whether it be local, state, federal, do not like social media.
Oh no, they hate it.
And even those in the media, mainstream media, do not like social media.
Mhm.
And why is that?
Because they don't want people to have any control over what is said or heard or
Right.
believed, which, I mean, that sounds
Yeah.
awfully tyrannical to me, but
That's fact.
yeah, that's true.
It's fact.
It's-
And again, we have local radio stations, and not all radio stations, because I do listen to WJR
Mhm.
in the morning at times, and their host will get on a guest, an elected official, a government official, and they're
Oh, yeah.
challenged.
Yeah,
They're
my grandpa was
challenged.
a big WJR fan all growing up, and so, I mean, we were always switching between KHM and WJR.
Sure. And again, I'm thankful, and I'm sure most everybody else throughout Jackson County is thankful that we have WKHM still with us,
Yeah, absolutely.
reporting the news and all their other shows that they may have. But they could probably just be a little more challenging.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I think radio is a dying medium, and there's a generation of, and unfortunately, I might be the last generation of radio listeners. Kids in the generation below me, they don't listen to radio. They definitely don't listen to AM radio, and I still do. That's where I get a lot of my news from. It's a lot easier that way. So it's really sad, but radio is dying out, and this medium is becoming, I think, the next radio. It's like pirate radio is what we're doing pretty much.
And we're lucky to have it.
We are.
I'm not real sure if you're lucky to have me sitting here with this podcast.
Oh, no, we're definitely.
We'll get through. We'll get through it. And again, much appreciated. Okay, so again, we're here to discuss county, city issues. Okay, and again, not to always hammer them with the negativity regarding what may be going on. But and we'll give credit when credit is due. And I always do.
Yeah.
And whether it's going in front of the city council, speaking during public comment, my 180 seconds that I get, or to the county commission, speaking during public comment for 180 seconds. And that 180 seconds goes by pretty fast.
Yeah, it does. I've done a couple public comments, and every time I'm like, ah.
Right. And I've been doing it for years and years.
Uh-huh.
And again, I'm always respectful.
Oh, yeah.
Always respectful.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very important to do, because you also want to have the respect of our elected officials, those that you are speaking in front of.
Exactly.
And
You're not getting anything done if you don't. They'll just poo-poo you.
Right. And they not always agree with what I'm saying, but I have to admit they don't always disagree either. And whether I can sway, or my fellow citizens who also get up during public comment and speak, whether we can persuade or dissuade on a certain topic, a certain agenda item, that's what the public is there for. And
that's what public comment, why it exists.
That's right, and that's why they are there to listen to us, not just hear us, but to listen. There's a difference between hearing and listening.
I agree.
Yep. So, anyways, been going through this for many, many years, and mostly on the city and county issues. But going to the city, okay, and thinking of the city now, and again, I respect each and every one of our elected officials at the city level, as I do at the county level, but not always in agreement with them.
I completely agree with that.
Let's go back a couple weeks with the parking issue alone. And what's not being brought up with the parking issue, and Mark Daly, give credit to Mark, he did bring up on WKHM with Mayor Mahoney yesterday the parking issue, not so much the metered parking, which is no longer
they completely took that off the table.
It's off the table.
Okay.
Off the table. But Mark Daly did, mention to Mayor Mahoney, with all the growth downtown, with everything going on, and soon, hopefully, maybe the Hayes Hotel, if that were to reopen.
We talked about that last time you were on the Stick to the Plan.
That's a big if. But if and when they do, where are they going to park?
Yeah.
I went to the the 2 city council meetings on this parking issue, and spoke at the first meeting in regards to the parking issue, but not so much pertaining to the metered parking. But I did bring up if the Hayes were to open, where are they going to park?
That's a great question that I think that a lot of them haven't thought about.
Oh, they're thinking about it. Kevin, not only are they thinking about it, they are putting together probably a plan unbeknownst to us at this point, but eventually it's going to have to come out in public.
Well, yeah.
They'll probably more than likely have to have a parking deck.
Yeah.
And the developer of the Hayes right now, the number 5 developer.
Yeah, number 5.
Number 5 developer.
The pro athletes.
Yeah, the pro athletes.
Pro athletes.
Yes. So, number 5 developer, whether they're going to take it out of their own pockets to build a parking deck, which I highly doubt.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I highly doubt. So, what's going to be discussed between that developer and our city officials?
Right.
A parking deck.
Mm-hmm.
And how to fund and construct a parking deck.
Right.
So, where do you think they're going to, how's it going to be funded? It's going to be funded through
a millage probably, or
no, not a millage. Just, it'll be funded. They'll borrow the money. And then they'll pay it back through probably parking assessments downtown, the general fund, or any other fund. Remember, all funds in a budget are very fungible.
Yeah.
Money can be taken from this to be spent on over here, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Whether they're, it's a water fund, whether it's a sewer fund, whether it's a major street fund, whether it's a local street fund. And this is just at the city level now, okay? So that is an issue. And it was already discussed one time between two officials from Commonwealth Associates.
Okay.
They were being interviewed on the Bart Hawley show, and they said, we need a parking ramp. And now Commonwealth Associates is right across the street from the Hayes.
Yeah.
So they really want this Hayes
to
happen.
Oh,
they really want this Hayes to happen. And they said straight up during the interview, when they have clients come into town, but this was when it was being discussed to be a hotel.
Yes.
And right now it's being discussed to be just apartments, market rate apartments. But the Commonwealth Associates were discussing the fact that, when they have clients come in town, they can just stay right there at the Hayes.
Yeah, absolutely. I work for a gentleman who has a lot of investment downtown, a lot of businesses downtown, and he was super excited a few years ago because he thought they're going to develop it into a hotel.
Sure.
And he was about to change his whole plan for downtown if they did that. Right. Change the concepts of a couple different places. And then when they didn't, he's a smart enough guy that he made it work. But and he's still opening places. So. Oh,
yes. Well, still with the Hayes, though. I mean, now they're talking that it's just going to be market-based apartments and not hotel rooms, any hotel rooms. But they could still change
It's
that.
still bodies, too.
Yeah, they could still, arrange a few hotel rooms and so forth.
Right.
Leave that up to the developer. But anyways, the fact remains, where are the guests for the Hayes, the employees, all the patrons that go in and out of, when they go in and out of the Hayes, whether to shop at one of the retail stores or to have a nice dinner, because they're going to have some high-end restaurants in there. That's part of the plan also. So where will they park?
Right.
If parking's an issue now, if and when the Hayes does come to fruition, then parking's really going to be an issue.
Yeah, I hate parking downtown. It's a bane of my existence sometimes if I have to be down there.
Right. And I don't get down there as often as I used to, but when I do, I'll just park, a block away in one of the parking lots, and that's usually at night. Okay.
Right. It's a little bit easier to park at night. Right. Well, on the weekends though, it's been pretty rough. But
especially if they have some car show going on. Or on a weekend night.
Yeah, just a busy weekend night.
It's a busy downtown, and that's a very good thing.
Yeah, it's a lot different than it used to be, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, it's always been fun.
Yeah, it's always been fun, but now it's
a different kind of fun.
Yes, absolutely. That's the best way to put it. Yes.
Yes, because I'm
some of the businesses have changed venues.
Being a product of the '70s, I've been going downtown for like we talked about before, for a few decades.
Right.
And have always had fun. And remember, I've never seen a tumbleweed.
I thought about that the other day, and I almost, just being a smart aleck, almost printed out a tumbleweed and took a picture of it downtown because I was down in one of the offices of the guy that I work for, and I was going to send it to you, and then I got busy and I forgot.
Well, I'm sure maybe one of our shows you'll have a tumbleweed going across.
I will find it. All
right.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, yeah. So that has to be being discussed with our city officials.
Right.
Our city council and mayor may not be in those discussions yet, but they're going to have to be eventually if we do have to have a parking ramp, parking garage, parking structure for the Hayes. And going back to the parking issue today, though, they put together a task force.
Wow.
The city council put together a task force, and this task force now has been given the duty to find an answer as to what they're going to do to move forward with downtown parking.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it's financed through assessments,
Right.
through the downtown businesses.
I remember right after we had talked about it on Six of the Plan, they had I don't remember. I think it was MLive had a video with Mayor Mahoney saying he's like, well, we got to go to assessments, which, well, I don't think that's a bad plan.
Well, if they're not going to have metered parking,
Yeah.
then they do need to go to assessments.
Yeah.
And those downtown businesses are just going to have to bite the bullet and
understand
they're going to have their assessments raised.
And you're reaping the benefits from it, or reaping the benefits from it. So it's, it's your assessment goes up, but you also should be making more money.
But color me a little skeptical on this one here. This is why I brought it up.
Yeah.
I think what they're going to probably come up with as far as a plan, which would have to be presented to the city council, is an increase in parking assessments, but also to dip in to one of our city funds to help offset even a larger increase in assessments for those downtown business owners.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the money's got to come from somewhere.
No. I don't know. This is what I disagree. See, look at you and I don't know.
Well, see, what I meant was is that, it's got to be paid for by somebody.
Yes.
We just don't, they just don't know who.
If I'm a patron downtown and I go into one of the restaurants
to
have a bite to eat, a drink, well, if they have to raise my meal by 50 cents, my drink by a quarter to help offset that increase in their assessment costs, and so be it. It's not going to stop me from going down.
No, I don't think it'll stop anyone.
No,
it shouldn't.
It should not, and it will not. Now, I can't say that with absolute certainty, but I highly doubt it.
Jackson's pretty finicky about that stuff, so who knows?
Well, they were really finicky about the parking fees, okay?
Yeah, they didn't want to pay for parking.
They did not want to pay for parking, so
you got to pay for it some more.
You're going to pay for it somehow. I would just be opposed to any funds being taken out of one of our budgets, city budgets, to help offset any increase in parking assessments. The parking assessments is going to have to pay fully for downtown parking.
And actually, the way you present that, as it should, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones. Once again, they're the ones that are getting the benefits from the growth of downtown. And like you said, if they have to raise the prices 50 cents, well, they'd be stupid not to.
Sure.
And that's the way the world works.
Yeah, if the business can afford to eat the costs, then fine.
Yeah, but, awesome.
Yeah, that's an awesome. That's a big awesome right there.
Yeah.
So
I have my buttons up.
Anyways, yeah, that would be certainly preferable to the patrons of downtown. But then again, in reality, if they have to, they don't want to, if they can't shoulder the whole cost of increase in parking assessments, and they have to pass it on to their customers, and be it.
That's how business works.
Right. Sure.
You know, it's just like everything. I mean, all the way up the line all the way to the federal tariffs. If you got to pay more at the business, then you got to charge your customers more. Mm-hmm. That's just business.
Yep, that's business.
That's business.
That's business. And but we're right here at the local level, and it's felt by all of us right here. It all starts at the local level.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It all starts right here at the local level, and that's why I'm glad that I'm sitting here with you to discuss these local issues. And we could go on and on with many, many more issues, and we're going to with our proceeding podcast.
I look forward to it. I really do. I've told you from the beginning. I think this is a great concept from the show, from the get go, and I think it's something that in this area we need.
Sure.
Again, with respect to our local media people, I think they're afraid to ask just because of ratings, because of this and that. Our ratings don't matter. They can't cancel us.
Yes, and it's not, And again, a radio show or the Bart Hawley show, they're all going to be sponsored by advertising and so forth.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want to, by any means.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to mess up your pot your pot of gold there. I mean,
right.
I get it.
Well, I get it up to a certain extent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it almost seems now like everything, not everything. Not everything, but it almost seems like some of the newscast or interviews with our local government officials are almost sponsored again. I'll go back to what I said earlier, by the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce, and it should not be that way. But
I think they have an interest.
They have a big
there's a vested interest, and whether it's directly sponsored or not, I mean, it's like they have a vested interest in the politicians, and and so I see what you're saying, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. But definitely. We have this meeting here today, and that's a good thing, because we can discuss these issues and respectfully. Yeah. Respectfully and facts only. Again, if I mess up on a certain fact, if I mess up on an issue, giving some disinformation, I've done it before, and I can't promise that I won't do it again. Yeah. But if I do, then I correct myself.
And feel free to correct us in the chat too, guys. If you're watching and we say something that's incorrect, definitely let us know. Sure. We're not gonna yell at you, and if we do, we're on the other side of the screen, so it won't matter anyway.
Don't meet me out in the parking lot when I leave out of here.
Yeah, that's why we're in an undisclosed location.
All right, but anyways, Kevin, it's going to be a good podcast.
I think it's going to be a great show
moving forward. And again, the subject matter, the issues are endless.
Oh yeah,
they're endless, and this is just at the local level.
Yeah,
just at the local level, city and county. They've got their hands full.
Oh yeah,
and and as Mayor Mahoney likes to say on the radio, there's a lot of heavy lifting ahead.
Yeah,
and there is a lot of heavy lifting. And sometimes
it's only getting heavier.
Well, it's getting heavier because sometimes our local government, whether it be city or county, kind of goes off on these spending initiatives.
They deal with what they want to deal with sometimes, as opposed to what they should deal with.
That are non-essential.
Yes.
That are non-essential. Yes. And we need to get back to that. What's essential? And we all know what's essential.
Absolutely. I mean, children are aware in a lot of cases, and I think our politicians, they know. They just go, maybe tomorrow.
But the rubber is hitting the road.
Mm-hmm.
The rubber is hitting the road. We don't have millions coming in from the federal government like we did a few years ago,
right?
Where the city and county went on a spending spree. Some of it was spent wisely, but a lot of it was spent unwisely, unfortunately. And if some of that were spent more wisely, both by the city and county governments, we wouldn't be probably in the predicament we are today. Not only with infrastructure, but with jail upgrades.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
forth, okay, so again, we could go on and on.
Yeah,
we're gonna go on.
We're in the same mindset there, and I mean the jail has always been a big thing for me. We've had Sheriff Schutte on Stick to the Plan a couple of times, and when he showed me the pictures of the giant cracks in the foundations and stuff at the jail, I wish that more people would see those. I think that their millage would have been much different. It's sad.
Well, and thankfully we have a couple commissioners, one in particular, that made that emphasized.
Mm-hmm.
Without the jail millage, with the jail millage not passing, we need to set aside county. This is at the county level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay,
Yep.
I'm jumping around from city to county.
Yeah.
This is at the county level. They need to set aside funding out of whatever budget
I got to find it.
to fix up Wesley Street Jail.
Yeah.
And they are.
I'm glad to hear that. I haven't really heard any updates.
Yes, we have. And so Sheriff Schutte is getting some of the more or less Band-Aids at this point, okay?
But stop the bleeding, at least slow the bleeding down.
Slow the bleeding down. And this is all because of one county commissioner, and the others got on board with them and said
Excellent.
absolutely. And whether we'll see another millage on the ballot anytime soon, I hope not, because
I think the city's pretty fed up with millages. The county, yeah.
as well as they should be.
Yeah, there's a lot of taxes coming out.
Yep, and again, go back to the old. I don't want to sound too cliche-ish. Government doesn't have a revenue problem. Government has a spending problem.
Yeah. That's why across many different mediums. I've heard that from the more political shows all the way down to
Sure.
the non-political shows. You hear that over and over again, especially on Rumble,
Okay.
because Rumble's very very political at the base. So
Good to hear. Okay, all right, Kevin. Well, I'll tell you what. We can.
You want to wrap it up?
We'll wrap it up.
All
and
right.
Look forward to being back, and we'll discuss agendas, and we'll discuss what the city council has voted on, what the county commission has voted on, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And you guys, make sure you follow this channel and like this video. I'll have more links up. We will have a YouTube up probably tonight, and we'll re-upload to YouTube next time. Hopefully, we'll be live on YouTube as well. We'll get all those links out, as well as I'm probably going to set up a Twitter for us as well. It seems to be a popular platform being used right now. So.
Well, remember, you're the technical guy. I'm just a guy sitting over here looking
Yeah.
pretty, thankfully.
Well, yeah.
Thankful.
Someone's got to look pretty.
Well, that's all because of the filter you put in that camera.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, actually, it's funny because the camera I had bought, it did have a beauty filter. It claimed I don't know how to use it, obviously, but it does have one. So, anyways, yeah. So every other week, correct?
Yeah,
We plan on doing this
every other week.
Every other week. So on Thursdays, 1:00. We'll try to be on time next time.
Yep.
And we have some things we're going to add to the show, and it'll be. I think it's going to be a great show, and yeah, reach out to us on our social medias. I'm sure everyone listening knows where to find us. So, all right. Well, I think that's all I've got, and you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. What do you think of what, Kevin?
It went very well, if you ask me.
Okay. I jumped.
took up a whole show.
Mm-hmm.